I used to believe that stability was the goal. A stable job, a stable income, a stable country, a stable plan, a stable future. I thought if I could just make life predictable enough, then I would finally feel safe. That if I built the right routine, found the right place, earned enough money, and avoided too much risk, I could create some kind of protected life where nothing would really shake me. And for a while, that idea feels comforting. It feels intelligent. It feels mature. Society rewards that mindset. People praise you for being practical, for being realistic, for being careful. They tell you to settle down, to choose one lane, to stop moving too much, to stop changing too much, to find security and hold on to it. But over time, I realized that what most people call stability is often just dependency in a more respectable form. Because if your peace depends on one job, one economy, one system, one relationship, one location, one version of the future, then you are not safe. You are fragile. You are only okay as long as conditions stay the same. And the truth is, conditions never stay the same. The world changes too fast for that. Markets change, industries disappear, entire business models collapse in a few years. Skills that used to guarantee safety become ordinary. Technology replaces people. Governments change rules. Countries rise and decline. Opportunities move. Culture changes, the cost of living changes, the value of your effort changes, and if your whole life is built on the assumption that tomorrow will look like yesterday, then sooner or later, reality will break that illusion. That is why flexibility is more valuable than stability. Stability gives comfort, but flexibility gives survival. Stability gives routine, but flexibility gives options. Stability feels safe until the world shifts. Flexibility feels uncomfortable at first, but it keeps you alive when everything starts moving. And that is the truth most people avoid because flexibility demands something painful from you. It demands growth. It demands uncertainty. It demands that you stop worshiping comfort and start respecting reality. Imagine two people. The first builds his entire life around stability. He gets one job, builds one identity, learns one narrow skill set, lives in one place, thinks in one pattern, and attaches his sense of worth to that structure. He tells himself he is responsible because he is stable. The second person builds his life around flexibility. He learns broadly. He understands how to adapt. He develops multiple skills. He keeps his expenses under control. He stays mentally open. He does not make one external structure the foundation of his identity. He becomes capable in more than one environment. Now ask yourself what happens when the economy shifts, when layoffs begin, when technology changes the game, when political instability changes the rules, when opportunity moves elsewhere, when something unexpected happens that nobody planned for. The first person panics, not only because he loses a source of income, but because he loses a sense of self. His stability was never true strength. It was dependence disguised as maturity. The second person feels the pressure too, but he adapts. He is not calm because life is easy. He is calm because he never expected life to remain fixed. He is not relaxed because nothing changed. He is relaxed because he trained for change. That is the difference. Flexibility is not random movement. It is prepared adaptability. It is the ability to change form without losing substance. It is the ability to face uncertainty without losing direction. And in the modern world, that ability is more valuable than almost anything else because the world now rewards speed of adjustment. The people who survive and rise are often not the ones with the most impressive titles or the most traditional paths. They are the ones who can pivot without emotional collapse. They can learn new tools. They can reposition their skills. They can move cities or industries if needed. They can let go of old identities. They can think beyond one narrow script. They are not frozen by change because they built themselves around capability, not predictability. Most people misunderstand security. They think security comes from external permanence, but external permanence barely exists. Real security comes from internal resilience. It comes from being the kind of person who can rebuild, the kind of person who can earn again, learn again, begin again, move again, adapt again. If you lose your structure tomorrow, can you still function? If your plan dies, can you still think clearly? If your path closes, can you still create another one? If the answer is no, then your life may look stable, but underneath it, fear is controlling you. And fear always becomes expensive because fear of change keeps people stuck in places they have outgrown. It keeps them in careers they secretly hate. It keeps them loyal to systems that no longer serve them. It keeps them buying comfort at the cost of freedom. It keeps them saying, at least it's stable, while their spirit slowly dies inside a life that no longer fits them. This is one of the biggest traps in modern life. People are taught to fear instability more than stagnation. But stagnation is often the greater danger, because if you stand still while the world evolves, eventually your stillness becomes irrelevance. And by the time you realize it, the cost of adapting has doubled. Flexibility is not just practical, it is psychological. A flexible mind sees possibility where a rigid mind sees only threat. A flexible person can update beliefs when new evidence appears. They can admit they were wrong without breaking. They can let go of old versions of themselves. They do not need reality to flatter their ego. They need reality to tell the truth. And because of that, they stay usable in a changing world. Rigid people break because they confuse identity with position. They say, this is who I am, when what they really mean is, this is the box I have become attached to. But life punishes rigidity, not because life is cruel, but because life is movement. History proves it. The strongest empires decline, the richest companies disappear, the most dominant technologies get replaced. Whole generations are forced to adjust to worlds they did not expect. Nothing material stays fixed forever. So why would you build your entire inner world on the fantasy of permanence? A better question is this: how do you build a life that remains strong even when the environment changes? The answer is flexibility. Learn how to think instead of just what to think. Build skills that travel. Keep your cost of living low enough that you still have choices. Do not attach your self-worth to one institution. Do not become so comfortable that inconvenience feels like a crisis. Train your mind to stay calm when plans change. Build relationships that are based on substance, not status. Learn how systems work. Learn how money works. Learn how human nature works. Learn how to communicate. Learn how to learn, because a person who can learn quickly is never truly cornered. And a person who can remain emotionally stable during transition has a massive advantage over those who panic. Options are power. That sentence matters more than most people realize. If you only have one way to earn, one place to live, one network, one perspective, one operating system for life, then you have very little power. Even if things look good on the surface, you are vulnerable. But if you have options, then pressure affects you differently. You negotiate differently. You think differently. You walk away differently. You prepare differently. This applies to work, money, location, relationships, even identity. The person with options is harder to control. And flexibility is what creates options. That is why, in uncertain times, flexibility becomes a form of quiet strength. It allows you to move before desperation forces you to. It allows you to notice change early because you are not emotionally invested in pretending the old world will stay. It allows you to leave declining environments before they consume you. It allows you to reinvent yourself before the pain becomes unbearable. And yes, flexibility is uncomfortable. It demands humility. It demands that you stop romanticizing certainty. It demands that you become a student again and again. But that discomfort is not weakness, it is training. Every time you learn something new, every time you enter a new environment, every time you adjust instead of collapse, you become harder to break. Not because life became easier, but because your response became stronger. There is another reason flexibility matters more than stability. Stability often creates passivity. People become lazy inside routines that seem safe. They stop observing. They stop upgrading. They stop questioning. They start assuming that because things worked for 5 years, they will work forever. And that assumption quietly destroys them. Flexibility keeps you awake. It keeps you sharp. It forces awareness. It builds initiative. It reminds you that comfort is not always progress. Some of the most dangerous people in the world are not the most aggressive. They are the most adaptable. They can walk into uncertainty and still think clearly. They can lose a path and create another one. They can operate without needing constant reassurance. They can start over without losing themselves. That kind of person does not fear chaos the way others do because they understand a deeper truth. The world will always change, but if you train yourself properly, change does not have to destroy you. It can reveal you. It can show you what you are made of. It can force you to become more honest, more capable, more self-reliant. This is why I no longer chase the fantasy of a perfectly stable life. I do not want a life that only works under ideal conditions. I want a life that remains strong under pressure. I want a mind that can adjust without panic. I want skills that still matter when the market shifts. I want enough awareness to see change early, enough discipline to prepare, and enough courage to move when others freeze. Because that is real power. Real power is not controlling every variable. Real power is remaining effective when variables change. And if you understand that, your whole strategy changes. You stop asking, how do I make everything fixed? And start asking, how do I make myself capable in motion? You stop trying to remove all uncertainty and start trying to become stronger inside it. You stop treating discomfort like danger and start seeing it as evidence that growth is happening. You stop building your identity around one job title, one system, one location, one version of success, and you start building around principles, skills, resilience, judgment, and character. Those things travel with you. Those things survive transition. Those things allow you to walk through changing environments without becoming a different person every time the wind shifts. Flexibility does not mean having no standards. It means keeping your standards while changing your methods. It means knowing who you are without forcing life to stay the same. It means being able to evolve without betraying your core. That is why flexibility is more valuable than stability, because stability is temporary, but adaptability compounds. Stability can disappear overnight, but flexibility becomes part of you. Stability depends on circumstances, but flexibility creates leverage across circumstances. And if you build enough of it, something changes in the way you move through life. You become less desperate, less reactive, less afraid. You stop needing guarantees before you act. You stop worshiping predictability. You stop collapsing every time the map changes. And instead, you become the kind of person who can enter a changing world and still remain dangerous, calm, useful, and free. In the end, the people who rise are not always the most secure on paper. They are the most adaptable in reality. They are not always the ones with the safest routine. They are the ones with the strongest mind, the broadest capability, the clearest judgment, the least attachment to illusions. So if you want to prepare for the future, do not just build stability, build flexibility. Learn how to earn in more than one way. Learn how to think under pressure. Learn how to move when necessary. Learn how to let go of old identities. Learn how to stay grounded when the environment changes. Learn how to build a life that can survive transition, because the future does not belong to the people who were most comfortable in the old world. It belongs to the people who were ready for the new one.